Before I start this podcast, I just want to let everybody know to check out my link on all my social media. The great underscore Gatsby underscore. I have a link for this month's fundraiser for Movember. Any donation will help. All funds are going towards men's health when it comes to mental health, prostate cancer, testicle, anything with men's health. Thank you. I appreciate it. And this is the podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Talkaholic Junction with Carlos.Love. I have a special guest with me. She is from Nebraska. She hates pork chops, and she is the host of Filthy Laundry, Ciara Johnson.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
I'm
of
very
course.
excited to be here.
So, when it comes down to it, you're from Nebraska. How are you still in Nebraska? I'm not for sure on that.
Yep. Born and raised Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm very much stuck here. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. Nebraska is not really it. I'm not subscribed, but I have a kid, and so I am going to be here for a while.
Okay. And how old is your kid? If you want to share that, if not, I
Yeah,
get it.
no, I'm totally open to sharing that. He just turned 4. His name is Benjamin. He turned 4 on October 17th.
Okay, so you still have a toddler. Woo.
Yeah, I got a couple more years here, I'd say.
Okay. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Your childhood. How was that from? Like, how does your childhood make you the person you are now? Like, what is the story behind that?
So my childhood, I'd say, was hashtag traumatic. I hate to be like that, but it really has built me for who I am today. I'm not afraid or ashamed to say it. I appreciate my parents and I appreciate, the experiences that happened to them that kind of brought me to who I am today. I think that trauma is a thing that kind of is generational. I think that traumatizing people create traumatizing children that create traumatizing adults. So my parents had their own addictions in life. I think that we all kind of, I'm learning, have addictions. Mine right now are dabs and Red Bull. I really love those. And I'd say I tried to make exercise one of them, but I can't. It's so hard to be consistent with exercise.
No, it is.
It's so hard. So I remind myself like, hey, get back into that because I really, really, really want a six pack. But anyways, it's all trauma. Everything, if you look around you, every single thing is trauma based. Everything, how people are, why they act the way they do, why they aspire to be the way, what they aspire to be usually, if
Hmm.
you look very deeply into it. So for me, I had parents who were addicted to drugs and alcohol, and they had 4 children. I was the youngest of the 4, and I kind of watched my mother play a very big role of trying to raise us, and I think that was really hard for her because when my dad didn't really want to be a dad, he would just go to jail and not play that role, and then my mother was left with 4 kids trying to, you know, keep the household going. I think that was hard for her. So that led a lot of us into foster care situations. My brother was in Boys Town. I later in life ended up and graduated from Boys Town. But before all that, we were placed in different family homes. And so I was living with like aunts, uncles. My dad would be in jail. My mom would be, I don't really know, like in and out of the picture. I think she was sometimes addicted to meth. And so it was kind of one of those things where it was like, okay, I'll see my mom and dad when I see them. And so when you're not as attached to the people that you call mom and dad, and you almost are pushed into these situations where all of these random people now in your life are your hashtag mom, hashtag dad. Um, I won't lie, I feel that I maybe was put in a role where I felt like I had to please people or be a specific thing or person
Hmm.
to get love or receive love. And I feel like maybe that is why it's kind of like created who I am today. I'm so bold. I don't care about what people think of who I am. I'm very grateful for that though, because I think it takes somebody that's been through something to be able to kind of spread the messages that I do. I think it takes a very confident woman to go online and talk about like having herpes and things like that. But those are traumas that happened later, not in my childhood. But I did later find out that my dad does have herpes. So I mean, it's a like I said, like look around you, people. It's everything is so relatable. But so foster care happened. I didn't really like foster care. Sometimes I was molested. Um, I was molested a lot in foster care. I was molested a lot from family members, and that also created a lot of trauma that is sometimes hard to talk about. And it makes me kind of grateful that I don't have a daughter because I mean I'm not saying it couldn't happen to my son. I do worry about that, but it is statistically they say higher for chance for a woman. But I
Yeah.
think that it happens just as much to males. I just don't think it's being reported as much as it is. So I think that is probably something we should talk about in America. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so those things kind of it all goes back to like, what happens to you. But there was happy times like in my childhood. I remember living with my aunt. She would take us on trips a lot and that was fun. Um but again, every situation that I lived in as a child, it did kind of feel like I was had to make somebody happy, or if I was too loud, I would get yelled at, or if I didn't do this. And so I think a lot of my adulthood and a lot of my relationships kind of were curated based on me trying to please somebody or be something for somebody. So I try to be a little bit more cognizant of just kind of how my relationships play a role in my day-to-day life, and sometimes maybe how it has created a little bit of somewhat toxicity. I sometimes will get addicted to certain people. They will become my favorite people. Um, I don't go to therapy because I have a very unpopular opinion that therapists are probably just as or more effed up than the rest of us. But they don't want me to talk about that because then I will probably get canceled. But I don't go to therapy. I've gone to therapy many, many years. I've already done it. I've learned a lot from it. I'm not mad about it. I just don't think that I will learn or gain anything else from it. So I just don't go. I also hashtag can't afford butter or rent in America. And you have to be rich to go to therapy or have some type of time and owning two businesses and being a single mom. I just don't find time. If I could go to therapy on a Saturday, right? Like we're doing this podcast on a Saturday, then yeah, maybe I would go to therapy.
Yeah.
But I'm working all the time, just trying to maintain. Um, Yeah, so long story short, I don't have a very strong relationship with my mom and dad. I mean, I did have my mom and dad on my podcast. I had to pay my mom $40 to come on my YouTube. I told her not to tell my dad that because then he would have wanted $40. And that's just kind of how my family works. We don't do Thanksgiving, we don't do Christmas, and then like I mean, yeah, I'm 30 now, so I shouldn't care about those things, but we never did those things. Um, except for like when I was really, really, really young. And so I guess like it's just kind of in my family, it's kind of like, and they're not gonna like that I say this, but it's all for one and one for all, man. Like really, that's what it feels like. I don't talk to my siblings really. I do talk to my brother Corey because I feel like he has an expanded mind, like I do, but
Yeah.
I'm
Because
kind of,
I've
oh, go
because I
ahead.
was I was gonna say because I remember I was listening to some of your podcasts and like your first one, it's almost like it went like 180 because it was like you was talking about your sister helped And then next thing I know is you said she sued you, and I'm like, I was so confused because
Yeah.
that was like a big jump with everything just in those 2 episodes, and it
It
threw me off.
Yeah, that's kinda how my family is, like, and that's, like, they say that blood is thicker than water or something, I think that's a phrase, but I don't know if it really is. I think it's all about, like, sh I don't know, and then I don't know if you saw, there was another episode, like, my sister thought that I cursed her, like, it's just crazy. So, I just have to realize, like, are these toxic people? Who's the problem here? Like, and you have to look at these things, and so when I all of a sudden, when I cut these people off, my life is going great, things are doing better. So I'm like, "Well, I can't help but wonder," you know? But I love my sister deep down. I just think that sometimes you have to love people from a distance, right?
Yep.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't wish ill will on her. I want all but success. If anything, I look up to her as an icon, as a business icon for something I would like strive to be. You know, she's taken a business and created an empire out of it. I can only ever say positive things about her. I think that, you know, it's crazy sometimes. Just it's all about perception in life. Um, and that's why I don't look at my past as being a victim. I don't. I look at it as having been an opportunity to create a wonderful life for my child. I have unfortunately traumatized him with my own because of my own trauma, but I'm starting to create a path that will be able to give him something to where he could have a business one day, or um, if he wants to say, hey, I want to open a school for kids that are in wheelchairs. I don't know, I'm just making that up. That was like the most random thing. He's not in a wheelchair, he has to, like, I don't know, you never know what these people
Yeah.
want. And so I want to just be able to do whatever, for whatever really my son wants now. And it is crazy because you'll realize, do you want to know why I want to do that? Because my parents didn't do any of that for me. And so it is true. You have to be careful. That's why they say the pastor's son, is the worst one. And it's
Hmm.
true. And so sometimes I try to be very, I'm like, okay, don't spoil him too much. He doesn't need a new Lego set every day. That's not going to make him president in 10 years, or, I don't know. And it's unfortunately my brain does think like that. But I do think that trauma is a big reason of why yeah, why my podcast is like, it's the most traumatic podcast ever. I air out my filthy laundry. I want people to talk more about their trauma because I know that everything that I've said, somebody's not they're not going to find all of it relatable, right? But something that I said may have been relatable, or they know somebody, that has gone through something that I went through. And um, I'm over, like, I think 50 episodes now, but I think in my first podcast I talk about the marijuana and the selling the 5 pounds of marijuana, or maybe that was later, or maybe I
No, that was that one. I was gonna ask you about that too,
yeah.
because that was a lot.
Yeah, so that really just showed me, and I'll go into that, but it really just showed me that I'm an entrepreneur, right? So really it starts with vices. I do like marijuana. Before it was, I do dabs now, but before it was weed, I like to smoke weed. As a growing up as a youth, I was told, you're an addict, there's something wrong with you. And I'm like, what the hell? I just like the way that it kind of calms me down a little bit. And it doesn't always calm me down. Like, I've smoked it for years, so it's doesn't really work like the same as it used to, right? But um I I definitely liked it then, and I still like it now. And I was at a freaking Walmart, and I ran into these random guys, and they're like, "Oh, where's the nearest mall?" And I'm like, "Of course I'm gonna talk to random strangers because that's what I do all the time, even on the internet." And I was like, "You want to know where the mall is? I'll tell you." And that ended up leading to them sending me 5 pounds of marijuana in the mail at a time, at multiple times. I probably, over the span of 10 months, I probably received over 50 pounds of marijuana in the mail. And the first box that I received, because I didn't really believe it, right? Sometimes, and this is the thing about business, even, um, it's risk. It's about risk.
A
And so
lot
I
of
took a
risk.
risk. Yeah, and so the risk was, let's do this, and it did bring a lot of money, but it ended up with me getting a felony. And I got really lucky to I was 19 years old when it occurred, and so I was able to get put on, like, diversion, right? And so I did diversion, and now I own my own business. This is the thing, like, people you can do anything you want in life. Don't let a fucking felony stop you from owning 2 businesses. I own 2 businesses. You think I tell my clients that I have a felony? And even if they do find out, it's not like from robbing somebody or stabbing. I freaking sold marijuana. Somebody smoked weed or one of their kids did or their grandma or they're going to laugh about it. I was 19. I'm 30 years old now. It's not that, that's why it's okay to talk about it. I also think that when time, has gone by from bad things from when we're kids and stuff. It's easier to talk about those things. But it was a learning lesson for me. I paid the price. I did the diversion. I smoked weed the entire time while I was on diversion, and I paid money for fake pee, and I had to go fake pee once a week. So imagine how much money the local head shop got from the fake pee that they were giving me.
A lot.
Yeah, and guess what the real banger kicker is? The week before I was gonna get off freaking diversion, the stupid lab people called me and they're like, "We tested this pee and there's no way this pee came out of a human body." So then I got put on diversion for 6 months longer. And then I had to use real human pee. And do you know how gross that is when that stuff leaks out and touches your body?
And then you
Tragic.
got to keep it warm too.
Oh yeah, I had a whole science down to it. I had done this for a whole year, and that's how committed I was to smoking weed. You'd think I would have just quit smoking weed, but no, I am a committed Sally. And if anybody learns anything from that, also, not only am I an entrepreneur, don't piss me off because the lengths that I will go if I really want to do something. Obviously, I can be very committed. And I don't mean that in a threat, but I feel like that sounded like a threat.
No, you good. You're good. I get it though. Like I said,
Like,
just don't fuck with you.
no, I didn't mean it like that because, like, I was once, like, really in love with this kid that I literally sent him roses. Like, I didn't even mean it, like, in a, like, "Don't fuck with me" way, although, like, we could go down that route too. Unfortunately, it could have been taken in so many different ways, but it was more of, like, I'm just crazy in general, so it's not good. I don't love that for me necessarily, but it's a category I've put myself in, and I'm just gonna sit here in this category. So, other than that, what haven't I touched on? I mean,
I mean, well, one thing I want to touch on is the pork chops. What was so bad? Because I know, because like I said, I heard that and that just stayed in my head. You was just like, fuck pork chops. I fucking hate pork chops. And I was like, damn, did he make them that much?
he made him so much. Like, honestly, I don't want him and his girlfriend to break up or nothing, but I feel like if she ever heard that episode, she would probably laugh because she probably has to eat pork chops so
Yeah.
much.
And for audience, my fault. You were talking about your ex-husband, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Which I mean, I'm positive that they have listened and watched my stuff. I don't think they'll ever find yours. I mean, I'll plug it and stuff. I don't know how subscribed they are to me. It's interesting how ex-husband stuff goes. I don't check in on his life or know anything about what he does,
But he
but
checks in on yours.
somehow he knows what the hell I do. So that's really interesting. So, um, that's usually how it goes though with the guys that I leave. It's like they're always still watching my stuff, and so is the girl that they're with too. And I'm like, what is going on with that? Why? What the hell? So, but you never go back. That's another lesson I learned. I learned it really, really hard last year and this year, and I'm not doing it again. So,
Because I remember in the first podcast, you was talking about that with your ex-husband about not going back and just keep it pushing and just, because you
yeah.
learn from your mistakes and now you're just going to keep it moving and just do you.
Yep. Yep. Well, and even not even like so after my ex-husband, I learned apart like I dated somebody else and he ruined it. Yeah. So it's just like, damn, you have to be careful like who you decide to be in partnership with. And I feel like you will really know who the right person is based on there's a lot of things though, like it's mental energy and then you have to have the physical energy too, right?
Yeah.
So that's very, very important. Um, and I hope everybody can find that because that's a hard thing I think to find.
Oh, yeah. And to get off to like another topic, I don't know if this is horrible for you, but like the herpes situation, like
Mm.
how did that come about and what had was it like somebody's being dishonest about situations or
Okay,
just
yeah. No, let's dive into it. No, so I went through a divorce. I met this kid that I fell in love with right after the divorce. He's this kid that I accidentally gave my herpes to, but I didn't have it when I met him. I was in love with him when I met him, and it was a 3-year thing that it was long story short, hashtag a waste of my time. Every time he would leave, I would have to fill my time, right? I felt so worthless. So I jumped on Tinder and I jumped on the first freaking penises I could find, which am I proud of that? No, but is that what happened? Yes. And so that's what happened. I jumped on a penis. And you want to know what's funny? I divorced a Joe and then I banged a Joe, a different Joe, obviously, from Tinder, and he gave me freaking herpes. So then 3 days later, I'm like in massive pain. I can't pee. I made my friend look at it. She's like, "That's herpes, bro." I was in denial. So then I went to the hospital. They looked at it. They're like, "That's herpes, bro." I was like, "Wow, I'm probably gonna like shoot myself." And then I go to the guy and I'm like, "You fucking gave me herpes." I just wanted him to admit it. And he was like, "I didn't know that I was breaking out or something." And it's like, "What do you mean, dude? You just got to disclose." And it taught me like a lesson because then guess what? The guy that I was in love with came back around and I didn't know that I wasn't breaking out, but you can, just like he didn't know he was breaking out, you can have asymptomatic shedding and you can pass herpes along without having like a straight up breakout, right? Breakout. So that's why it's important to disclose, take medication daily to try to not pass the herpes along, wear condoms, things like that. Well, I didn't do that with this person. We never wore condoms. And I didn't want to be like, hey, while you decided you didn't like me, I went and got herpes. So now we have to wear condoms. That would be weird, right? He would probably not want to be with me. So Sally me said nothing and gave him fucking herpes. And then I gaslit him, right? He came back to me and he's like, there's some shit on my dick. And I'm like, that's crazy. And I was like, I still love you though. And then a year goes by and I'm like, wow, this relationship is not gonna fucking work, which it already wasn't gonna work. It was not even about the herpes. Like it was not about the herpes. But then I was like, just to be honest, there was a part of me that was like, tell this person you have herpes because you keep going in circles with this person. You're never going to be able to marry this person. You're fucking infatuated with this human being that like probably doesn't even like you. And you just gave him herpes. So now he's going to hate your guts. And be honest. And I couldn't tell him to his face because I'm a pussy little Sally. So I made a YouTube video and I freaking sent it to him. And he told me he was not mad at me. And um the last this right before I made that video, 222 on the timer. Um, right before I made that video, we had already slept with each other, and I thought maybe I was pregnant. Well, I ended up miscarrying, and he was already with his new girlfriend. It was a whole dramatic thing. Blah 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 blah. I'm hashtag traumatized about it. I'd like to believe that I was never pregnant. I just bled a lot that month. So there's no proof that I was actually pregnant. I peed on a stick. It said that I was, and then I was not after I bled. But people have false positives all the time, and people have period, they bleed all the time, and people actually do miscarry really early all the time. Like it's not like I was like, if anything, I was maybe 3, 4, I don't even know, but very early. So I'm like, you know what? People lose it's having babies are miracles. I think actually women have more miscarriages than you would believe. Like just because like if you bleed really heavily one month, that could have meant that you had a miscarriage. But do you see women crying about it in America? Hell no. So I'm not crying about it. As far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned, I'm grateful because I can't be around somebody or sit with some. I've already did a $20,000 divorce and then a $20,000 custody battle with my ex-husband. So as far as I'm concerned, the universe was like, you know what? You're not about to do that again. So,
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
dude, that's
So
so expensive. I'm still paying that shit off.
fuck. Are you still do you still talk to the dude?
Which one? The
Um
ex-husband or the one I gave herpes to?
the one well, I guess both.
Well, the ex-husband I have to, but his new girlfriend and maybe baby mom, well, not maybe, definitely baby mom, she's pregnant. Um, long story short, yes, but it's through an app that's like court ordered because he's all like really legal and weird and controlling, hashtag. And then the one that I gave herpes to, no, he blocked me on everything. His girlfriend hates my guts. She said if I talk to him again, I'm going to be 6 feet under, which I'm like, okay, Sally, come on now. And I'm honestly, I hope that he never reaches out to me again. Like, I'm like, please never message me, please. I do not.
Gotcha.
And not even in a mean way, just in a like, I just want to move on. And I
Yeah, and you don't
met
want the
somebody
drama.
new. Yeah, and he said he's not mad and he has somebody else and like it's like let's just like leave it at that so we can move on and just do what we got to do, you know? Like I've met somebody who has given me more purpose and value in my life in 2 weeks than both of those people that my husband I was with for 7 years and I wasted 3 on the one that I gave herpes to.
Yeah. So
So
with you having herpes, I just want to know your input. How many guys actually cared, like if you was asleep with them, cared that you had it? Because I was told a lot of guys just don't give a fuck and they're just like in it just to be in it.
For me, it was not. I'll tell you, I had a lot of experiences. Like, I had an episode called "That's It, I'm Deleting Tinder," and literally, it talks about I had this guy come over. I disclosed with him that I had herpes. He even told me he was like, "I'm being celibate," so I'm thinking, "Great, I'm just gonna get cuddles. Like, we don't even have to have sex." And what? Right after I told him I had herpes, he was like, "Oh, my dad broke his leg. I have to go," and like ran out of my apartment.
Oh
Um,
damn.
and then this other random guy that I met, like driving down the street, which I was like, maybe this is the one, like, didn't meet him on an app, you know? He was a corrections officer, which I was like, interesting. Everybody in my family's been to jail, so we'll see if this works, which it didn't, teaser. But handed my shirt by the end of the date. I paid for dinner. It's like this is like actually traumatizing. And I told him I was like, "Hey, I'm not trying to be sexual." And he's like, "Well, we'll still keep talking." And I was like, "Dude, I'm not trying to be sexual because I have herpes." Boom, hand off my boob so fast it's almost like he thought he was going to get herpes from touching my titty. So no, people are afraid. Oh, I met another guy at a gas station. Literally the lights went out in the gas station and then all of a sudden I turn around and there's this guy. I really thought this guy was sent from Jesus cuz like just how crazy the lights went out and stuff. And then he asked me for my number. We were talking. I disclosed my herpes and he literally said, "Oh, well, I'm clean and I'm good. I don't want the herpaderp." Is literally what he said. And so
Oh
now
shit.
yeah, so now I use herpes. I'll use that. That's why I use that term because he traumatized me by saying that because he
That's a
couldn't even say herpes. He couldn't even say herpes. And I'm not mad because guess what? Let's be honest with each other. If I didn't have herpes, I probably would not sleep with somebody that had herpes. I'd have to really, really fucking like you to be like, I'll see past the herpes. So no, and I don't like the person I'm with now. He sees past the herpes, but do we wear and use protection? Yes. So, and am I mad about that? No, I don't expect him to want herpes. I didn't ever want herpes. I don't want to give herpes to anybody else. That's why I disclose it. But no,
honestly.
it's not easy for me. I think a lot of people in America, you know what they're doing? They're having sex with people on a non-outbreak, or maybe they're using condoms. They're waiting until the person is hashtag subscribed, and then they're disclosing the herpes. And they already love the person for all those other things that they're like, oh, well, I'll look past the herpes. But I think it's important to disclose the herpes before you're sexual with a person.
Oh
And
hell yeah.
that's what I want to bring more light to in America. Or maybe just my town is like that. I don't know.
Because I mean, when you really think about it, if I remember correctly, I mean, what the age 25 and up, somebody has a form of herpes, like 75%.
Yes.
If I'm wrong, I know it's a high number, and it threw me
Yeah.
off when I was younger. But I know like between 25 and whatever, like 75% of people have some type of herpes.
Yeah. Usually it's mouth herpes. It's a lower chance for the vaginal or genital herpes. But I do have I have genital herpes. But uh, I think that a lot of people it's more widespread, but people need to talk about it more. Otherwise, we're all gonna have it. Like when I was younger, or not necessarily like 15, 16, maybe even 18 or 19, I saw these people online that would be like "Oh, I have herpes, I have herpes." And I was like, "Oh gosh. Yeah, well, maybe I should have educated myself. Maybe I wouldn't have got fucking herpes. Because now look at me." And that's why I am more open and honest about it because I'm like, "Okay, give people more confidence about their herpes. Let's talk about it. Let's try to prevent it. Let's normalize it because it's happening to people in America." So,
Yeah. And like I don't know, this is funny, but when I was younger, I honestly thought herpes was just a different form of hiccups because they sounded so close. And like I really wasn't the smartest kid. So like
no,
I
I think
remember
that's really cute.
so like in
I'm
elementary
glad that you said that.
I'd walk up to a kid and be like, "Yeah, I got the hiccups. Hopefully I don't get the herpes later." And they'll just be like, "What the
Wow.
fuck?" And I
I
just
don't I don't think I used that word when I was younger. That's crazy that you said that.
I was very I was very experienced as a child. There was a lot of things I watched because I, even though, because I'm 26, so I'm
Okay.
like a couple years younger. But the thing is, the internet really showed a lot of shit when I was a child. And if you don't understand what's going on the internet, it's easy to get confused for something else. And that's what happened to me pretty much.
Okay, I get that. Well, yeah, because if you're what it was you were learning different words, right? And you were trying to learn how to use them without necessarily knowing the definition. But the fact that you knew that word at that age, wow, like that's like baffling to me, honestly. And it's interesting that you said about the internet, like, so you're 26, you're not that much younger than me. Like, did you have like access to the internet a lot? Like, so maybe I guess my disconnect is I was in like group homes and like DCYC and foster homes that wouldn't allow me to be on the internet that much. So I didn't have as much access to the internet growing up.
So I'd say it's a mixture of I guess what I'm saying is like at a young age, I was very sexually not active, but very intrigued with sex just in general. Cause like
Okay.
I was that kid that would stay up to watch HBO, real sex and shit. I got
Okay, yeah.
into, I ain't gonna say which. There's none of us like when it comes to siblings. So I can say I got into one of my
Wow.
brother's porno
Dang.
stash. I ain't gonna say which one, but I got into his stash and used to
Yeah.
watch his stuff. And like once I hit a certain age, I got a PSP. I guess my parents didn't know the PSP. You can get on the internet, like the web, like the browser
Yeah,
and everything.
they probably didn't know how to like parental advise you, right?
Yeah, so I was looking up stuff on that, and then once I got like in middle school, yeah, because I remember one time I left my cell phone. I had a phone cell. Yeah, I had a cell phone in middle school. It was a slide up, and I was able to get on the internet. And I downloaded like a whole bunch of nudes, and my mom got through it. And I had a bad porno nude obsession from like elementary until like seventh, eighth grade. And then once I got at middle school, I seen some weird shit on the internet in middle school. And once I seen that, it kind of dropped. And then once I got in high school, it went from porn to like actual sex.
Okay. Okay. So I found somebody's porn stash when I was a kid growing up, but I was molested as a kid, so it made me feel kind of sick to watch it. And then I also ran into my dad's I ran into a home porno of my dad banging some lady on my sister's bed, and that really, really, really freaking traumatized me. And
Yeah.
I also one time accused my dad of molesting my sister, which he didn't. But my dad is kind of a very sexual being and makes like sexual comments. And I was just like, he didn't molest me, so he must have molested my sister because there's four of us in my
Hmm.
family and I'm the baby. And I wanted to ask, what number are you in out of the nine?
I'm number 7 out of 9.
Wow, yeah. So they were probably pretty tired, right? I'm assuming. I have nine kids. Like
I
I'm
would
tired with one. Shit.
I would say my parents were still in their prom even like after I graduated. Now
Wow.
my younger brother, they get a lot of help from like I try to help out as much as I can. Other siblings try to help because we have a baby. He's 15,
Wow.
and then the
Wow.
oldest one is 36, 35, I believe.
Okay. Wow. So you guys have like a whole plethora of. Your mom's gonna go straight to heaven. Let me tell you what. Holy moly. She's creating a whole army.
Well, that's one thing. We do. Some of us do have different moms.
Oh, okay. Same
Yeah,
dad then? Same
same
dad?
dad, same dad. And then like when it comes to like my mom and my dad, they had three of us. I'm the oldest out of my mom and dad, and then it's my sister, and then it's my brother. Then the
Oh,
rest
okay.
of them, yeah, then the rest of them kind of same way where it's like you got four youngest, oldest brother, and then some of them are kind of like my older brother, like my mom had. Um, he was like that's my mom and then somebody else's child and then but that's my brother because we got the same mom, so it's
Right.
kind of it's weird, it's not weird but I
Interesting.
don't, I get sometimes I just allow people to say my mom had them all because I don't feel like getting into
Too much
detail,
work
which
trying to
is
describe it.
very too much work, so
And
I just
it's,
kind of,
yeah, it's complicated, so you're just like, fuck it. Like, think what you want.
yeah, but at the end of the day, those are my siblings. I love them, and like I wouldn't trade them for nothing. Do we agree on everything? No. Do we argue? Yes, but it's still love at the end of the day.
I love that. I could definitely, I believe that for my siblings for sure. Back to the porn thing. I don't mean to go back to that, but Uh, I didn't mean to stray away from it. I didn't want you to think I was scared because I'm not scared. But I think because I was molested as a child, I didn't think it was okay to view porn or have or be pleased by, right, things like that. So I didn't really masturbate much until after I divorced my husband at 26. When I was a kid, I would like, I guess, touch myself or whatever, but I never like used toys, or got more advanced, right, until I was older. But I used to view porn like pretty heavily for a period there, but now for some, I don't know, like I think I have BPD, so like sometimes I'll get really like sexual moments where I'm like hypersexual, right? And then other moments where I'm not, or maybe I'm not BPD. Maybe it just happens when girls are around their period. I think girls get more sexual. I don't know,
Or
but
ovulating.
yeah, something. Oh yeah, like it's in our nature to like want sex at certain periods, right? But we're not as super hypersexual as males, but we are. I don't know. It's weird, but like I was viewing stuff that was sexual on the internet. I remember, like, remember when AOL was, because when I would lived at my aunt's house, that was a period of my life where I could view stuff on the internet, and she did not watch what the hell we did. So I remember when AOL was a thing, we were like chatting with, I'm sure we were fucking having like sexting chats with like old men on, because like you could say however old you were, right? We were lying, so of course they were lying. And I remember these pop-ups would happen, and there was this man, like, literally, he was using his penis to, like, play some instrument. It was just, like, the craziest thing I'd ever seen, and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I even watching?" You know? Um, so yeah, long story short, I guess we've all viewed porn at some point. I guess that kinda low key, I'm not gonna lie, that does kinda concern me for my child. Like, I just don't like, what was the youngest as a male that you viewed something sexual online or on television? He probably already has viewed something like at least on TV.
Because I'm not going, it does fuck you up because I'm sitting here, I'm not gonna lie, once you start viewing porn and everything as a young man or young woman, I just whatever, just a young individual, sometimes you start sexualizing things a lot more as a young age. Because I start sexualizing things, I'll say around fifth grade, and I was
Yeah.
11. That's pretty early, and I understand that's not the greatest. And then like the older I got, it didn't get better. Pretty much, I probably calmed between, I'll say a little bit in college, and now
And
I've calmed down a lot.
and I don't mean to be like this, but like you were not molested or touched or taken advantage of any at any point in time in your
Mm,
life.
the only thing I could say that was weird, and like I didn't understand that it was bad then, but like we had one teacher in elementary. It was me and this one other black kid. Can't remember his name. I know we were like in second, third grade. The teacher was at the urinal and just kind of whipped his shit out and showed us and like smiled and then took a piss. And me and dude looked at each other, was like, what the fuck? And then we just like walked out the bathroom. That's probably the closest thing to like what the fuck that happened to us.
Huh.
Cause and we walked out and in our heads, we were kind of like, yeah, if he tried something, we would have killed that nigga. Like we
Right,
full on,
right,
we
right.
were, cause I don't know, but I would say like most black kids, at least here, we kind of understand that shit isn't right. We understand like we understand that it isn't right, but we don't fully know why it's not right. If that makes sense.
I feel like doesn't everybody know that deep down?
I was, yeah,
I
yeah.
think you get that gut feeling of like this is wrong or why is this so that's interesting that, I mean, he was not okay, obviously, like, right, for him to do that, but it's interesting that you still have and had this like, because I am, and I love this because I'm learning stuff. Like I thought, oh, I'm just hypersexual, or maybe even sometimes not as sexual because of what happened to me as a child. But then when I hear you talk about your like wanting to view the porn and stuff and how your journey was, I'm like, well, wait, he wasn't traumatized. I mean, you were traumatized in America by that man's penis, but like he didn't like slap you with his dick or like make you touch it, right? I mean, it could have
No,
been worse, or and it could have been better. He could have not showed you it at all. But I don't think that that experience led you to go view a bunch of porn. That's what I'm trying to say.
no, I'd say if I'm gonna be real with you, I'd
Yeah,
say it was just it was
that it was
finding the
there.
stash. It was finding the stash that was there, and then like HBO, like you have soft core porn on regular TV. So I mean, like it's honestly there. And as we get older, it becomes more and more there. Like you can go on Instagram and find porn. You got Twitter, that's pretty much porn. Even on TikTok nowadays, you have some things that are like pornographic that pop up. So
I
like
mean,
now it's
yeah,
just like
even mine
everywhere.
sometimes is on the cusp. Like people are like, "What's your link? What's your link?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't have an OnlyFans. I just do this because I don't know." Because I'm still trying to accept myself in America, if you really want to know. But
Yeah.
thank you for the acceptance. Thank you for loving me. But I'm still trying to love myself. So, which I'm learning that that's not how you do it, right? But even at 30 years old, right? Traumatized hashtag. But that's interesting because I feel like we need to be. So, do we need to be talking? What do we need to be doing differently with our kids then, right? Like, is it inevitable for young males in America to want to have sex, is or to see sexual things? Is it because you had siblings above you that may have trickled that media down to you? Is it like I need to know? I want to understand.
I think, like I said, I think it just depends on the person, the lifestyle, and everything. Because like you have
Because
some
sex is
parents.
inevitable. Sex is
Yeah,
inevitable,
no,
right?
it is. It is. But yeah, it is. Especially with kids going to school, because you got
Like
other
I'm not
kids that are going
saying,
to bring it up.
yeah, like this is the thing. Like, which one would you want? Do you want other kids to tell your kid what sex is, or do you want your kid to understand what the fuck sex is? And because I mean, look what happens. Like, let's be honest. I wasn't given no sex talk. Like, like, let's be real. I was told as a woman, and this is the truth, and probably the truth for other women. To me, sex was translated as love. If I open my legs and let you have sex with me, then that means you love me. But that's not what a man sees that as, right? Well, why aren't we having those kinds of conversations? Both people are getting pleased, but both people are kind of expecting different things. A man is expecting pleasure, a woman is expecting love.
And that's where I'll say sometimes it depends. Because sometimes I'll say, at least in my experience when it comes to dating, you have some women who have the mindset, I guess, of a man who just want to get their little stuff off and they'll go ghost. They'll go
You're right.
ghost.
You're right.
But you don't. I won't say you have a lot, but I'll say there's more now than there was 10 years ago.
Well, I think that in America, people need to be more honest about why maybe they don't like, because that does happen. It happens to me too. I've slept with people and then I didn't hear from them again. But I bet there was something else. Like, was it something I said? Did my breath stink? Like, there is something. There is something.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I'm sure that a guy comes into my apartment and is like, "Oh hell no, this bitch has 4 cats. I don't give a shit if it's clean. I hate cats. I'm not talking to her after I bang her." Like I'm positive. I'm positive.
but
You
that's the
know, but
thing though. That's
people aren't
weird though.
communicative. What?
No, I was saying that's weird though. It's almost like you still will bang her, but like if you don't like something, why not just leave? Why still continue going through it? Then
Mm,
put both y'all situations in some shitty problem. Like it's not. I feel like it's not worth it. If you have a problem with something right off rip, just leave. Don't get physical.
yeah, but I think it's also lack of confidence of communication, right? Like me and you are podcasters. We're great at having communication and going back and forth and having, discussing things. I think lack of confidence. So, have you ever heard, I mean, and I'm sure you've done this because, or maybe you haven't, but I have. I've slept with multiple people. How do you think I got herpes? I'm not trying to be like that, but that's the truth. Have you ever taken one for the team? I've taken one for the team.
I've taken
I've taken many for the team. What you
so
mean?
I've taken maybe one or two for the team, but typically whenever I know I'm going to lay down with somebody, I tell them my attention around the rip. I'm like, look, I don't want nothing behind this. If you're okay with that, cool, boom. But if that's a problem, then I can leave now. I don't want no problems to come later on. Like, problems in the future ain't worth this 30 minutes or hour worth of fun, because then next thing I know is we're arguing on a daily basis. This, that, pointing finger. Like, I don't want that. I'm one of those ones that try to stay stress free as much as I can. So, like, that's why I'm just kind of open and upfront about what I
But
want.
yeah, but you sound just like my ex because he said the same shit, and then we all how are we where we ended up dating and shit, and then now he has a new girlfriend, but he doesn't want anything serious. So I think that men say that they don't. Some men will even say they don't want something serious, but they do want something serious with the right person.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what does that mean when you say I don't want nothing serious? So it really just means okay, I want to bang you, but I don't want nothing serious with you.
Oh no, like it's more of, oh no, I don't do friends with benefits. I'm talking about like for example, to take one for the team. Like I let
Yeah.
him know right off, like this is just like a night thing. Like I'm not coming
Oh
back.
my
I'm talking
God.
like I'm be honest, like
I'm so
because
happy that you're so upfront.
between my junior year of high school and now I've been in three relationships, and they took up more than half those years. So the other times I was single, I think, how long is that? That's 16 to now. So that's going on 8 years. So in those 8 years, let's just say, so in those 8 years, I've been in a relationship for about 6 or 7 of them.
Dang.
So like
Dang.
when I do lay with somebody, I'm typically gonna tell them right. It's typically after a breakup. I'm like, look, I'm not emotionally available.
Yeah.
I don't I just tell them up front, and then like some of them are just like I don't want that, and then it's like cool, still hang out, still talk, and I go my separate ways. And then you have those ones who are okay with it. You do it, maybe do it again, and then y'all just go y'all separate ways, and there's no hard feelings. Like I said, I just like being upfront and telling you what my mindset is right there and then. It's just like right now I'm dating somebody. My parents don't know, but yeah, I am dating somebody right now,
How long have
and
you guys been talking or dating?
it's going on 3 months right now.
Damn.
So,
Wow.
and like we were upfront about everything, because that's one thing, I feel like you should talk about if you're going to date somebody. You should talk
Yeah.
if you like, some people think it's inappropriate, but I think it should be talked about first date. But do you want kids? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you want to do? Is this the lifestyle you want? Do you see yourself staying in Kentucky? Like I feel like we should ask those up front before we get into it, because I don't want to go 5 years down the line just to figure out you don't want kids.
Facts.
But
Facts.
no, when it comes down to it, the dating pool sucks on both ends, men and women. Men suck, women suck. I think the whole situation sucks. And if you find a good person, you better hold on to that person.
Yep. I agree. I completely agree. I appreciate that because I'm like reminded already every day that the person that I met on Tinder that I do believe that you can find a person that respects you and values you. Um and I believe that everything that you want is letting go of everything you think that you need. It's like literally right on the other side of it.
Oh
So,
yeah, I like that.
that's what I truly do believe. I do believe that. So, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now in my life. As far as like manifestation, which I hate using that word because I don't it's so oversaturated in society. But I do believe that your mind is very powerful, and if you, whatever you want, whatever you want, anything.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything. I mean, I can't fly, and I don't think I'll ever be able to fly, but do I think that I could write books and be famous and end up on billboards and then be in movies? And I only have like 2,000 followers on TikTok. Like, I'm like not even, but
Yeah,
I do I
but I,
believe it?
s-
Yeah.
but you get a good number of likes on there. Because I'm not gonna lie, what made me want to follow you back on TikTok was you at a grocery store, and it's just
With the
like
shitty
poops.
underwear.
Yeah, yes. I was like, well, what the fuck is this? I was like, yeah, I gotta follow back.
I love that. I love that. Yep, that was actually at a gas station right across the street from the apartment that I'm in right now that I'm potentially going to be moving out of. But yeah, I asked the worker if he would take a picture of me, and he said yes. So the worker is the person that actually took the picture of me.
You know what? Thank you for the worker.
Yeah, yeah, his name's Billy. Shout out Billy.
Go
That
Billy.
yeah, go Billy.
So
I
what?
appreciate you having me on.
Oh yeah, what made you start your TikTok?
So my TikTok was originally created kind of, I was not really like making videos for to do anything. It was kind of like, oh, I got a TikTok, you know? And then I made this podcast in January, The Filthy Laundry. And I kind of did it as a journal thing. I didn't have confidence, right? I didn't want to tell people about it. I was scared, but I still wanted to do it. And then I started telling my friends, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, you should go on YouTube." So then I, started. It's like when you start something, you get better at it the more you do it, right? And I really am compassionate about it. I like to talk. I like to be on camera. I do unfortunately like to be the main character. So it was a good outlet for me. And also I had a lot of secrets, right? I had given this person herpes. I just felt like there was a lot of I wanted to air out my filthy laundry. I felt like in America, Facebook talks too much about, oh, life is grand, life is great, but it's not always grand and great. We should talk about that. And so then I was like, shit, how else am I going to get people to go to this podcast, right? If people don't listen to it, then it means nothing to me. Which is stupid to view it that way. It does mean everything. It doesn't matter. If one person views it and gains something from it, then it matters. You don't need a million views or listeners. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to TikTok and I'm gonna start, really filtering and marketing myself there. And after I came out with the herpes, um, I just kind of was like, well, I'm going all out with it. I'm outside. I was single. I still will do the shitty. I've done a couple different shitty underwear videos. I just really, I'm in it for the bit. Like, what's gonna get clicks? What's gonna get views? How can I pull people? Like, everybody asks me, how did you start a podcast? How did you start a podcast? And I'm like, wrong question. What you actually should have asked me was, how do I take people from random places on the internet and get them to listen to my podcast? That's how you should be what you should be asking me. It's all about
Hmm.
marketing. It's what you say to your viewers, right? And so really TikTok is just another form of advertisement to get people to go and view my shit and listen to it and then pull and get viewers and have somebody on, like I want you on. So now it's like, when am I going to fly to Kentucky? Like, what's going on? You know, we're going to eat some. I know it sounds so stupid and ignorant, but I'm going to say it. We're going to eat some chicken because all I think of is Kentucky Fried Chicken.
My God. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Everybody in Kentucky hates KFC.
I hate KFC too, but everybody, whenever I tell them Nebraska, they're like corn, so I just had to. Yeah, KFC is not where it's at. But and I don't mean that in a rude way, but I'm sure you know some good places. Like, I want to eat something there that I don't have here, right? Like, that's like try
Zaxby's.
something new. I haven't had Zaxby's and we definitely don't have it here.
Oh
So,
yeah, you need that. It's like a very seasoned version of Cane's.
now after this podcast, you guys start sending me some like other things that to do there so then I can advertise it to my boyfriend and get him to go with me to
Oh
Kentucky.
yeah.
I wonder how long of a flight that would be.
Oh, and vice versa, because I actually I knew two people from Nebraska. One I don't give a fuck about. I'm just gonna be honest. Don't
That's
like
fair.
her.
That's fair.
Then the other person down to
Fuck
earth.
her. We don't like her either.
Damn.
Um, the other person down there. But have you been here then, or
I have not been. I've been
okay,
pretty much everywhere in the South. I've been to Chicago, and
okay.
then this Christmas I'll actually be in Phoenix.
Oh wow. Okay, well, I know for sure that we go to Chicago pretty often. So if I don't see you in Kentucky, I don't know if you would go back to Chicago. I'm not going to be in Phoenix for Christmas. I love that for you, though. I'm jealous. What am I doing for Christmas? I'm going to be in Nebraska for Christmas because I have my son, but I'm going to LA the beginning of December.
Oh, look at that. I mean, I like I said, I need to go up to
What
LA
other
soon.
places? What other places are you going? Do you have anything else on your books?
Uh, when
Oh,
it
okay.
comes
Great.
down, you talk about like for the podcast.
And I don't know, in general, just travel.
Oh, in general, travel wise, like I said, Phoenix, and then I got to go to California. So I played football in college, so I have a lot of friends that are different
Oh,
places in the United States that I need to go see. Like one in California, one in Phoenix, one in Texas. Then I need to go up to Cleveland because, like, just a couple months ago in June, all the people that like I'm talking about in those places, we got together and went to Cocoa Beach, Florida, for my homeboy's wedding.
oh my gosh. And where's that near? Cocoa Beach, Florida. Is that by Key West?
It's an hour away from Orlando.
Oh, snap. Because I'm
Yeah.
going to Hollywood, Florida at the end of at right after Thanksgiving.
Okay. So you know where NASA does all the rocket ships and everything in Florida?
No, I don't know nothing. I'm ignorant.
So pretty much Cocoa Beach is where NASA like sends off rockets.
Oh
So
my
like
gosh.
so we missed it because actually they had a rocket being sent off that Sunday, but we were leaving already. And at the
No.
same time, they wanted like $50 just to watch a fucking rock. Like, I'm
Shut the
sorry.
hell up.
I'm
I
not about
can't
to pay.
believe they're monetizing off that shit.
I'm
Oh,
not
they're
about to
slick.
because I think it was $50 just, but I think like for a close seat was like 100 something. And I'm like, yeah, y'all tripping.
Damn, that's not even worth it.
Oh yeah. But here we go. I love ending my podcast with a question.
Yeah,
Random one. I always pick one. So pick a number between 1 and 20.
15.
15. And 15 is
I love that.
okay. It's kind of like a two-parter, okay?
Okay.
So where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? And also where do you see the world going in the next 10 years?
Ooh. Okay, well, so for myself, I see myself still traveling, but a lot more. I see myself creating a way to just have passive income where I'm not trading my time for money, but more creating products, either with my brand on it or I don't really know exactly what direction. I haven't decided, but because 10 years is a long way, but lots of success. Long story short, nice house. Doesn't have to be a mansion, just nicer than an apartment. And for the world, I don't keep up with the world. This is going to probably be an unpopular, I don't know, maybe people won't like this, but I really don't. I'm sure it will be shittier than it is now, but I will be prepared for it. That is for sure.
Okay, okay. Well, that was the episode. Is there anything you want to shout out or plug right now into this?
My TikTok, Filthy Laundry, my podcast, Filthy Laundry, on YouTube and Spotify, and I'm on Instagram as well. I do appreciate you having me on.
Oh yeah. What about your two businesses? Because I know you do house cleaning and pet sitting.
Yes, they're locally. So I'm selling actually my pet sitting business, Pet Patrol. I am in the process of selling that business. I will bring you guys along that journey on my podcast, um, just because it's a high liability. And then my cleaning business is Clean Interiors Omaha.
You heard that, Nebraska. All right. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. You are the first person, like I said, that's not in a close knit that I know. So this was new to me, new to you, and I appreciate everything.
Thank you. I appreciate it too.
All right. Now this was Talkaholic Junction, Carlos Love, and this was Sarah Johnson.